The crash in the mist. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Logan had spent many days hiking these trails, but today, something felt wrong. The air was cold, filled with thick mist that wrapped around the trees like ghosts. He held his flashlight tightly as he walked carefully along the muddy path. Then suddenly, boom! A loud explosion shook the ground beneath his feet. Birds flew out of the trees, screeching. Logan dropped to the ground and looked up. A streak of fire cut through the sky above the forest. Something had crashed. Badly. Without thinking, Logan ran toward the sound. His heart pounded. Was it a plane? A meteor? Or something worse? As he pushed through the thick bushes and climbed over fallen branches, the air grew hotter. A strange glow lit up the fog. Then he saw it. A silver pod, half buried in dirt, was smashed against the base of a hill. The metal shell was cracked and hissing steam. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its sides. It didn't look human. Logan's hands shook. What the hell is this? He stepped closer, heart racing. Part of the pod's door had opened and something, or someone, was inside. Carefully, he peeked in. And that's when he saw her. A girl. Or at least something that looked like a girl. She was beautiful, but not in a human way. Her skin had a soft blue glow, like moonlight on water. Her long hair floated slightly in the air as if it didn't fully belong to this world. She wore a sleek metallic suit with glowing lines running through it. But her leg, it was bent the wrong way. Broken. Badly. She wasn't moving. Logan whispered, "Is she dead?" He crawled inside and placed 2 fingers on her neck. There was a pulse, weak but real. She was alive. Logan stared at her face. Even with her eyes closed, she looked royal, important, and incredibly hurt. He had 2 options: walk away and pretend none of this happened, or help. He sighed. Of course I'm gonna help. What else do I do with my messed up life? Logan gently pulled her out of the pod. She was lighter than she looked, but her body was cold. He laid her down on a patch of soft grass and took off his jacket, wrapping it around her. Her leg was bleeding, twisted at a sharp angle. He had seen broken bones before. His time as a field medic in war had shown him plenty. Okay, he muttered. Let's do this. He tore up one of his sleeves and began working. Using sticks, tape, and his old belt, he built a rough splint. He winced as he touched the leg. Just before he could set the bone, her body suddenly jerked. She gasped. Her eyes flew open, bright, glowing, and wild with fear. Logan froze. The alien girl stared at him, breathing hard. She tried to sit up, but cried out in pain. "Stop. Don't move," he said, raising his hands. Her glowing eyes flicked to his face, and then to her leg. Tears filled her eyes. She made a strange sound, a mix between a word and a cry. "I don't understand you," Logan said softly, "but I'm not here to hurt you." She looked at him for a long second, then passed out again. Logan shook his head. "Yep, this is my life now." He tightened the splint and lifted her once more. She needed warmth, safety, and time. There was a small cave nearby he used during storms. He would take her there. The mist thickened as he moved, carrying a wounded alien princess through the forest. Somewhere behind them, the pod sparked and hissed, quietly dying. But deep in the fog, something else was watching. Something had followed the crash. The bone-snap decision Logan had seen pain before. On the battlefield, in broken homes, in the mirror. But never like this. Inside a shallow cave lit by flickering firelight, the alien girl lay curled on a bed of dry leaves and an old blanket. Her body was shaking. Sweat clung to her glowing skin and her breath came fast and shallow. Her leg was worse than he thought. Swollen. Twisted. And if he didn't act soon, she might lose it. Logan crouched beside her, heart pounding. He wiped, his hands on his shirt. "All right, princess," he muttered. "I don't know what planet you're from, but I do know how to fix broken bones." She stirred, her eyelids fluttering. Her glowing eyes opened halfway. She looked at him, not with fear this time, but trust, or maybe just exhaustion. Logan pulled out his old army kit, bandages, painkillers, a rusty but solid pair of scissors, no morphine, nothing strong enough to numb what was about to happen. He tightened the makeshift splint and placed both hands on her leg. "I need to reset the bone," he said softly, knowing she couldn't understand. "This is going to hurt like hell. But if I don't do it, you'll never walk again." The alien girl blinked once, as if giving permission. He inhaled sharply, then snapped the bone back into place. A scream tore through the cave, high, strange, almost musical. Her body arched in pain, and a glowing wave of blue light burst from her skin. Logan stumbled back, eyes wide. The light faded as quickly as it came, like lightning in a bottle. She was unconscious again. "What the hell are you?" He sat beside her, catching his breath. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from something else, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. Hours passed. Outside, the forest slept. But inside the cave, the fire cracked softly, casting orange light over the girl's calm face. She wasn't shivering anymore. Her breathing had slowed. The splint was holding. Logan leaned against the wall, eyes half closed. The adrenaline had worn off. Now came the waiting. Suddenly, she stirred again. Her head turned slowly. Her eyes opened, clearer this time. Focused. Logan sat up. "Hey, you're awake." She looked at him silently, then at her leg, then back at him. Logan smiled. "You're healing. Kind of fast, actually. Is that a you thing or an alien thing?" The girl didn't answer. But then her hand reached out, shaky, slow, and brushed his arm. For a moment her fingertips glowed. Logan blinked. A warmth spread across his chest. Not physical, emotional. As if memories were being shared. Feelings passed like smoke through glass. He saw flashes, not clear pictures, but sensations. Running through fire. A throne room full of screams. Her face, covered in tears. A shattered crown. A voice shouting in rage. Then, darkness. Logan pulled away, breathing hard. What did you just do?" The girl blinked, confused. She didn't look dangerous. Just sad, deeply sad. She pointed to herself and whispered one word. "Saria." Logan nodded slowly. "Saria, that's your name?" She nodded back. He pointed to himself. "Logan." Saria repeated it carefully. Lo-gan. It sounded beautiful in her voice. Logan laughed lightly. "Well, Saria, looks like we're stuck with each other for now." Suddenly, her body tensed. Her eyes snapped toward the cave entrance. Logan followed her gaze. Outside, the forest was quiet. But not natural. Quiet, the kind that hides something. Danger. Saria whispered something in her own language, frantic, sharp. Then she grabbed Logan's wrist with surprising strength and pulled him closer. She drew a symbol in the dirt with her finger. It looked like a long eye, with wings. "What is that?" Logan asked, but Saria just shook her head and pointed, again out toward the forest. She was trying to warn him. Something had followed her. Logan picked up his flashlight, then grabbed his knife. "All right, princess. You healed faster than I thought. Now it's my turn to protect you." He stepped. Outside the cave, the mist already crawling back in. Whatever had followed Saria across space and had found them again. The hunters from the sky above the forest turned quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Dangerous quiet. Logan stood just outside the cave, eyes scanning the trees. The mist was thicker now, wrapping around trunks like a blanket of smoke. Every sound was muffled like the forest was holding its breath. Behind him, inside the cave, Saga lay still, but her glowing eyes stayed locked on him. She knew what was coming. Logan didn't. Not fully. He gripped his knife tighter. Then came the sound. A high-pitched humming, low at first, then growing. It didn't sound like an animal, not a ship either. Something in between. Mechanical, but alive. From above the treetops, two dark shapes broke through the fog, sleek, black, insect-like. Not drones, not ships, not birds. Something alien. Something made to hunt. Logan crouched behind a fallen log, holding his breath. The things floated silently, scanning the ground. Their eyes, or sensors, glowed a deep, bloody red. One of them stopped in midair, turned its head, tilted slightly. It had caught her scent. Back in the cave, Saga tried to rise but winced. Her leg wasn't ready. She clenched her jaw and looked around for anything she could use. She reached into the folds of her suit and pulled out a tiny object the size of a coin. It pulsed blue, weakly. Outside, the drone moved closer to Logan's hiding spot. Logan's breath caught in his throat. If it scanned him, it might kill him on sight. Or worse, bring more. He looked over to the base of a nearby tree. A rusted metal bear trap from an old hunter's camp sat half buried in leaves. Logan smiled grimly. Let's play dirty then. He pulled a stone from his pocket and threw it behind another tree. Clink. The drone spun instantly, darting toward the sound. Logan ran, quiet but fast, and reached the trap. With shaking hands, he reset it and placed it under a pile of leaves just as the drone turned back toward him. Too late. Snap. The trap clamped shut on the drone's lower limb, pulling it down. It screeched, an awful electric scream, and fired, a red beam that missed Logan by inches. He dove behind the log again. The second drone zoomed downward, searching wildly now. Its partner was damaged but still thrashing, trying to break free. Inside the cave, Saga held the glowing coin to her chest and closed her eyes. She whispered something in her native tongue, and the coin blinked once, then cracked open. Tiny pulse of blue light floated into the air and disappeared. Outside, just as the second drone turned toward the cave, boom, a blue explosion blasted across the forest. Logan hit the ground hard, ears ringing. The mist turned neon for a second, then vanished like smoke in the wind. When he looked up, the first drone was a burned-out wreck. The second had lost its direction and was spinning in circles as if blinded. From the cave entrance, Saga limped forward, dragging her broken leg. She raised her hand. Her fingertips glowed. She sent a wave of soundless energy. The drone froze, mid-air and then dropped like a stone. Dead Logan stared, jaw hanging open. Okay, remind me never to make you mad. Saga collapsed forward. He caught her before she hit the ground. You idiot, he whispered, half laughing, half panicking. You saved me. Her lips moved weakly. You saved me first. Then she passed out again. Logan carried her back into the cave and set her down gently. The air was silent again. The danger had passed, for now. But Logan knew something for sure now. She wasn't just some alien girl. She was royalty. A fugitive. And being hunted across the stars. And somehow, in all this madness, he had become her only protector. He looked down at his hands, still shaking. I was just supposed to go hiking, he muttered. Now I'm fighting space robots and babysitting a glowing princess. He chuckled bitterly, then looked at Saga's sleeping face. For some reason, he didn't feel like running. Not anymore. When she touched his mind, the fire crackled low. Outside the cave, the sky had cleared, stars blinking through the mist like quiet eyes watching from above. But inside, the air was heavy, not with danger, Now but something stranger. Curiosity. Connection. Logan sat by the fire, legs stretched out, his shirt torn and stained with smoke, dust, and blood. Saga slept nearby, her body wrapped in his jacket. Her legs still looked bad, but her face, it was calm now. He couldn't stop staring at her, not because she was alien, but because she reminded him of someone he couldn't forget, someone he lost, his daughter. The silence was broken by a soft voice. Logan. He turned fast, his knife halfway drawn. But it was only her. Saga had woken up, propped herself on one elbow. Her glowing eyes studied him, not with fear, not with suspicion, but something deeper. "You know my name now," he said quietly, slipping the knife back. "You remember?" She nodded. "Yes, Logan." She pointed to herself. "Saga." "I know," he replied. "You told me." A small silence passed between them. Saga's hand brushed the ground, her fingers glowing faintly. Then, without warning, she leaned forward and pressed 2 fingers to Logan's chest. He froze. "Wait. What are you—" The cave disappeared. He was no longer in his body. He was floating inside her memory. A world of strange light and sound opened before him. Flashes of towering alien cities, golden skies, flying temples, alien voices, echoing chants in a language he couldn't speak but somehow understood. He saw her, Saga, standing proud and royal in a long, flowing gown. She was surrounded by guards, advisors, and an older woman with the same glowing eyes, her mother, the queen. Then came fire, explosions in the throne room. Saga screaming as her people turned on her. Her mother gone, her guards slain. Everything, betrayed, and then exile, escape, loneliness, pain. The last thing she saw before her pod crashed was a fleet of her own soldiers chasing her, ready to erase her from existence. Then, suddenly, it changed. Now he was seeing his own memories. But through her eyes, a young girl, curly brown hair, laughing, sitting on his shoulders. His daughter. Then the accident. Then the silence. Then the whiskey. Then the shame. Saga saw all of it. Logan gasped and pulled back. He was back in the cave, sweating, chest rising fast. Saga was watching him. "You saw everything," he said, voice rough. She nodded slowly. "I felt your grief, your loss." He looked away. "You shouldn't have done that." "I had to know," she whispered. "Why would a man with such a broken heart risk his life? For me." Logan didn't answer. For a moment, they sat in silence, just watching the fire. Then he spoke, voice low. "Because I couldn't save her, but maybe I can save you." Saga's lip trembled, not from pain, but from understanding. She reached forward and placed her glowing hand on his arm. "You already have," she said. That night, they didn't speak much more, but they didn't need to. 2 broken souls from different stars now sat side by side in a forgotten cave on a lonely world, slowly learning that maybe, just maybe, they didn't have to stay broken. A kingdom without a crown. The fire had burned low, but neither of them noticed. Outside the cave, the mist was clearing. Morning light filtered in through the trees, painting the forest in soft gold. But inside, 2 strangers from opposite worlds sat cross-legged by a dying flame, talking like old friends. For the first time since her crash, Saga smiled. It was faint, fragile, but real. Logan noticed. "That's the first time I've seen you do that," he said, sipping warm tea from a metal cup. "Smile." "I forgot how," she whispered. "Smiles are not safe where I come from." Logan raised an eyebrow. "That bad, huh?" She nodded. Then, she told him the truth. "I was born into fire," Saga said. "The child of war and peace. My mother was queen. My father, a rebel who was supposed to be her enemy." She stared into the flame, watching it flicker like old memories. They tried to build something new together, a kingdom without slavery, without conquest, but power. She looked at Logan. Power is always hungry. Logan leaned in, listening carefully. My uncle hated them both. Said love made my mother weak. Said I was a mistake, a threat to the throne. So he waited. And when the time came, her voice cracked. He took everything. She looked down at her hands. I ran, but I didn't run fast enough. Logan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You weren't a mistake, Saria." She looked up. "You were hope," he continued, "and people like that scare monsters." Saria's eyes shimmered. She reached into a pouch near her belt and pulled out a thin silver chain. A small, glowing crystal hung at its end. "This is all I have left of my home," she said. "It was my mother's. She wore it on the day she made peace with the rebels, the day they called me Princess of Both Worlds." Logan took it gently, studying it. The crystal pulsed softly like a heartbeat. "Beautiful," he whispered. "It doesn't do anything," she said, "but I keep it close so I don't forget who I am." He handed it back. Sometimes the things that don't do anything mean everything. Later that morning, they went outside. Logan helped her limp to a nearby stream. The cold water sparkled under the sun. Birds chirped in the trees. The air smelled fresh, alive. Saria sat on a rock, dipping her fingers in the Karch stream. She looked around. "This world, your Earth, it's loud, but it listens." Logan smiled. "You should have seen it before people broke it." "Maybe it can still be fixed," she said. He looked at her. "Like us?" She met his eyes. "Exactly like us, as..." They walked back to the cave. Logan pointed to the tall trees. "That one's called a pine. Smells like home. That one's oak, strong wood, good for carving. And that moss on the rocks? Useless. Smells like feet." Saria laughed, a bright musical sound. It echoed through the forest. Logan paused. It had been years since he made someone laugh like that. It made him feel younger, lighter, human again. "Logan," Saria said gently, "do you have anyone left? Family?" He shook his head. "No. Lost them. One to the war. One to fate. One to myself." She touched his arm. "Then maybe you found someone now." Back at the cave, the fire was out, but the warmth remained. They sat again, side by side. Saria leaned her head on his shoulder. Her breath was calm, her eyes half closed. "You know what's funny?" Logan said quietly. "What?" "I was just passing through. A weekend hike, trying to get away from the noise. And now?" He looked down at her. "Now I want the noise, to stay quiet, just like this." But peace never lasts long in stories like these. Far above, in the upper sky, a satellite blinked. A signal had been received, coordinates locked. The hunters had found her again. Fire and farewell. The wind changed. Logan felt it first, just a small shift in the air, like a breath being held by the forest. Then the birds fell silent. No rustle, no chirp. Just stillness. He stood up slowly, grabbing his knife from the cave wall. Inside, Saria's head lifted. Her eyes were alert now, sharp. "They're here." Logan didn't ask how she knew. He just nodded. Seconds later, a low mechanical whine echoed through the trees like metal grinding against metal, too smooth to be natural. A ship. No, not a ship. A hunter's drop pod. The ground trembled as it landed not far from the cave. Trees snapped. Leaves flew. A red glow spilled through the mist like blood in water. Logan's voice was calm. "How many?" Saria closed her eyes. 3. No drones, this time. Soldiers. Logan looked at her. Still injured, barely able to walk. He had a choice, run or stand and fight. He chose to fight. Logan rushed around the cave, pulling together everything he could. Wire traps, sharp sticks, rocks, even old grenades from his army days. He didn't know if alien soldiers could bleed, but he sure as hell planned to try. Saria, still weak, reached for the glowing crystal her mother had given her. She clutched it tight and whispered something in her language. A single tear slid down her cheek. "I can't let them take me, Logan," she said. "If they do, they'll make me a symbol. A weapon." Logan crouched beside her. "Then we don't let them." She grabbed his hand. "You could run, you should." He shook his head. "I ran from a lot of things in my life, but not this. Not you." The first soldier arrived like a shadow walking through the mist. Tall, armored in black and red plating. No face, just a glowing visor. It raised its weapon. Logan didn't wait. Boom! He triggered the first trap. A log slammed into the soldier's chest, knocking it into the rocks. The second one came from behind. But Logan was ready. He tackled it, stabbed deep into the weak points in the armor. It screeched, a sound like metal screaming underwater. But then the third soldier appeared, faster, smarter. It dodged the traps. It moved like lightning. It grabbed Logan by the throat and slammed him into a tree. His vision blurred. Pain exploded in his ribs. The soldier raised its blade. Then, a blinding light filled the forest. Saria stood at the mouth of the cave, her hand stretched forward. The crystal in her palm pulsed violently. Blue and gold, like a living star. She screamed, not in fear but fury. The crystal cracked. A wave of energy blasted out, silent but heavy, like gravity made of light. The soldier dropped Logan instantly, stumbling back as its armor glowed red-hot, then cracked open. It fell to its knees and collapsed. Smoke rose from its chest. Logan coughed hard, crawling back toward Saria. "You did it." But Saria collapsed in his arms. The crystal, her last piece of home, was dust now. She smiled weakly. "I broke the rules of my kind, used energy meant for bloodlines and binding." Logan's eyes widened. "You burned your royal link?" She nodded. "I'm not a princess anymore." "You did it for me?" "No," she whispered. "I did. It for us." Her hand touched his chest, just like before, but this time there was no magic, only warmth. "I'm tired," she said softly. "You can rest now." They stayed like that for a while. Her head on his chest, the fire crackling behind them, the air finally still. But Logan knew the peace wouldn't last. Others would come, stronger, in greater numbers, and this time she had no crown, no crystal, but she had him. And he had something no alien army could steal, a reason to protect. 2 exiles, 1 home weeks had passed. The forest no longer felt like a battlefield. The broken branches had been cleared, the scorched ground now dotted with small green shoots. Life, slowly, was returning. So were they. Logan sat at the edge of a small wooden cabin he built by hand. It wasn't perfect, uneven walls, crooked door, but it was theirs. Inside, Saria was humming, her voice soft, almost human now. She limped a little when she walked, but the light in her eyes had returned. Not the glowing alien fire, something gentler, something like peace. He watched her through the open door as she poured water into a carved wooden bowl. Her skin had lost some of its glow, no longer pulsing with survival instincts or fight-or-flight energy. Just calm, she caught him staring. "What?" she asked with a smile. "Nothing," Logan said. "Just thinking how weird life is. A month ago you were crashing from the sky and I was arguing with squirrels on a hiking trail." Saria laughed. "Now I argue with you." "Yeah, but you're prettier than the squirrels." She raised an eyebrow. "That's not saying much." They both laughed. For the first time, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like they were hiding pain behind jokes. It felt real. That night, they sat outside under the stars. Saria leaned back on a blanket while Logan stirred a pot of something that might have been soup, or at least a brave attempt. The fire crackled. She looked up at the sky. "They'll keep looking for me." "I know," he said. "You could have walked away. A long time ago. I know that too. She turned to him. Then why didn't you? Logan poked the fire. Because I've been alone too long, and so have you. We're not just hiding here, we're healing here. She nodded slowly. I've never felt safe with anyone. Not even my guards. Not even my mother. And now? She placed her hand on his. Now I feel home. The next morning, Saria found him digging beside the cabin. She frowned. Are you building another shelter? He wiped sweat from his brow. Nope. She crossed her arms. A well? Nope. She peered into the hole. Then what is this? Logan smiled. It's a garden. She blinked. A garden? Yeah. You said you liked the smell of earth. Thought maybe we'd grow something here together. Saria stared for a moment, then slowly bent down and joined him, her fingers brushing the soil. In her world, princesses never touched dirt. But here, she was no longer a princess, just a woman planting seeds next to a man who once thought his life was over. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, they sat on the cabin steps. Logan handed her a wooden necklace he had carved, a smooth circle carved with the symbol she once drew in the dirt, the eye with wings. Saria's breath caught. You remembered? Of course I did. She tied it around her neck. It wasn't royal. It wasn't glowing. But to her, it was more powerful than any crown. In time, people in nearby towns would whisper about the man in the woods, about the strange, beautiful woman who walked beside him, her skin glowing faintly under moonlight. But no one dared disturb them, because some people are not meant to be found. Some people build their own home where no one else would look. Logan kissed Saria's forehead as she rested against him that night. The firelight danced across her face. You know, he whispered. They took everything from you. She looked up. And still, I found you. No crown, he said. No throne, she replied. Just us, Saria smiled. 2 exiles, 1 home.